Wow, I am so hot. This is too hot to be true. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we will play a furry visual novel recommended by one of my audiences. His name is Harvey. Let's get started. Pervader, what is your name? Okay, default is Reamus. Okay, I will use Harvey. A ray of light fell upon my face, knocking upon my eyelids to invite a new day. I cringed and shift away from the light. Is it time to wake up already? Everything is fairly quiet. No ruffling sounds, no commotion. Maybe no one else has woken up yet. Then I can lay for a while longer. Ah, yes. If I'm needed, Mother will barge in and wake me and lightly talk my ear off for oversleeping. Or maybe Father will knock at the window and give me the first task of the day. Sometimes my brothers would conspire against me and find new rude ways to awaken me. I'm fine with that, if I can just stay like this for a little while longer. Alas, reality was setting in. I sighed and turned to sink my face in the racks of my makeshift pillow. Neither mother nor father nor brother could wake me, for I was in a foreign land far, far away from home. A ship had taken me northeast across the sea to this country of Orithane and this town of Chariot. Wow, seems like really far away. Presently, I sat up and looked around me. The shack. A small rickety door stood ajar at the other end. It was gently swaying on its failing hinge. The motion played with the sun's rays, creating an annoying ambience through the narrowing and widening shaft of light. It is a tiny place, about a wagon's length and breadth. The loose assembly of weathered planks that make up the walls didn't seem to offer much shelter, but it worked well enough. Whoever made it their home before me had thought to fit tarps around the outside. It was a small mercy I had come to appreciate the one time it rained, keeping it cozy and fairly dry. Other shacks weren't as fortunate. I wanted to find better lodging by the end of summer, and better work to pay for it. The thought was a bit troubling. Back home we did not experience harsh cold seasons. This region was much closer to the northern lands of Everwinter. And they say Orithane has dark and windy autumns, and it was an open question whether this shanty could keep the wind at bay. Maybe I should talk to him about fitting some improvements. Small as it may be, two of us were hosted in here. My shackmate across from me, Jonah, was now stirring in his bunk. The space is so narrow I could reach out and touch him from where I lay. Okay, it's really a very small space, just two single beds. He turned over to face me, his eyes narrowly open. Morning, lad. Good morning, Jonah. His voice was hoarse with age and morning grogginess. He smacked his old lips a couple of times. Why are you staring? Oh, sorry. Sleep still bothering you? Not as much anymore. I've gotten used to it. Jonah turned over again to stretch on his back, yawning. Although he was getting on in age, he was still springy and tough. A plain, kindly soul, he works at the docks and spends most of his waking moments there to save up enough money for a trip. His daughter lives in a town far out east and she's waiting for him to visit. Once he leaves, he won't be coming back, said he would stay with her. 4 years ago, he was as much a stranger to this place as I was when I arrived. He saw that I was a stranger too. I think that's why he started looking after me. Jonah, we are expecting a big ship today. One of those syndicate charters. Haven't seen them in a while. He rolled out of bed and went to put on his moccasins. Oh, this is Jonah. Might be working there through midnight, so don't wake up for me. For me. Initially, I thought he's a hot daddy, but okay, perhaps I'm wrong. While he was getting ready for the day, I had something else I needed to attend to. I leaned in and reached for the narrow space between the bed and wall to pull out the leather pouch. Inside of it was the notebook, and I would read through it again. Jonah looked at me curiously. Yeah, I have been doing that every morning since you started working. I need to do a little every day. A little of what? He leaned in gently to pick at the page of the notebook. He has seen me with it plenty of times, but he never asked me about it before. Harvey, I'm trying to get better at reading and writing. Oh, he went wide-eyed and nodded in understanding. I thought you went to school. I did for a little while. Ellen asked me to get better though. You're working with books now? Is that what that boss fella of yours be telling ya? He hasn't said exactly. I think he wants me to help out with the paperwork. Ah, I see. I know you're a smart fella. Harvey, I can see you working in a place like that until you're old. God knows I would be doing that if I could. He must be paying you well. Not really. It's okay. If he didn't ask me to work for him when he did, I probably would have ended up at the docks with you. Only reason I didn't is because there weren't any work offers. Now though. Jonah shook his head in defiance. Laddie, don't throw it away just yet. It ain't often that a farmer's boy like yourself gets to work for a fancy man like that. Even if it ain't great now, maybe you will learn something useful. Something that could help you out in the future. I can tell you that there's nothing great about being a dog worker. You slave an entire life away and barely get enough coin to settle down by the time your bones turn brittle. Barely enough time and money to see the ones you love. Hang on tight to that job, you hear? I don't know if it's a good place to work, but I know it ain't this barrel's bottom. So if you have to get better at reading, do that, keep at it. I wish I could help you, but was never much for reading either. All I can do is let you practice in peace. Okay, thanks Jonah. He left, pushing the door open and letting it swing back and forth as he walked away. My attention shifted back to the notebook. I would look through it whenever I could. There were page and page of various notes, copy tags, exercises and rhymes. Some of my scribble drawings were in it as well. Reading and writing were difficult. Father didn't earn enough to put us through more than a few years of school. My brothers and I were not expected to lead bookish life. We were simple folk. I did, however, pick up a good manner of speaking from days of listening to preachers in the market square. Some of them had funny ways of expressing themselves. Occasional inflections stuck to my mind and I would remember phrases. A virtuous man keeps truth between words and deeds. Many of those sayings had been scrawled down already. Whenever I would remember one, it would be added with the others. Seeing the words on paper and hearing them recounted in my mind helped to strengthen my reading ability. A couple of pages should be enough. The writing exercises would come later when I would be at a desk. After a few minutes, I was confident in my review and put the notebook back in its ladder. I shuffled out of bed and quickly put on my salt-stained boots. The leather strap of the bag was beginning to wear out, but I slung it over my shoulder just the same. Alan will want to inspect my notes, so I had to carry the bag with me. The worker camp was just beginning to stir. Men of different age and size would soon be roaming about, attending to their morning needs. A man coughed as he clanged a spoon against a kettle, the one at the hearth behind the camp office. Outside the gate, a wagon was being drawn, its wheels snapping twigs and crushing leaves that had started to litter the ground. Beyond the wagon came the nagging call of a housewife searching for her husband or son. Walking ahead, I heard a slight crackling noise coming from nearby. It was a campfire between a pair of shacks along the path. A few men were gathered around it, chuckling, sighing, and speaking harshly so as not to wake those who wanted more rest. I spotted Jonah among them. A bell would ring later on to make sure no one overslept. Half of us would be off before we could even hear it. I passed a few other shacks and made my way to the scuttlebutt. There will always be enough water in it for everyone's morning use. One person would be on duty to fill up the scuttlebutt every morning and afternoon. Wasting water would earn you scowls. I grabbed one of the empty buckets and filled it up about halfway, then placed on the counter to the side. With cupped hands, I leaned in to grab a drink. The water is too warm to be pleasant, but it deals with the thirst. Now to clean up a little. My palm sank and resurfaced, splashing my face to wash away the grims of sleep. I set aside my leather bag on the counter, pulled off my shirt and draped it over the bag. On the counter lay several bars of barrelage soap. Some of them were more or less used up. I grabbed one of the smaller ones, dampened it and started working it over my body. Even though the days and nights are not as hot as those back home, I still sweat a lot. Father would always say that to make yourself proper, you had to wash your face, your armpits and your nether regions. Nether region? Okay. The last one I decided not to honor right now. The soup had a fine creamy texture to it, and it impressed a lightly sharp, minty odor. It washed away easily, yet the freshness sticks to you long into the evening. Back when we lived on the farm, we used to make our own soup, just like this. All the neighboring families did the same. In town though, soap makers have a handle on that. Balsamics were much more fragrant but very expensive. You could always tell the weight of someone's purse by their smell. I flexed my arm and stretched, checking my body as I was washing up. Wow, I am so hot. This is too hot to be true. And I have a really big bulge. Freaking huge. And I wonder why my hands are different colors, my upper arms and my lower arms. Very much different colors, like usually I wear gloves. That's why it has a very distinct colors. But overall I look hot as hell. When I was younger, mother would often make sweet rolls for me. My brothers and my friends and dad had chunked me up a little. Not just a little, okay? It's a lot. I kept some of my roundness from before, tempered with a bit of muscle from all the hefty manual labor I had done since I came here. Yeah, I agree. I look like those kind of furry that I gain my muscle by doing labor works, but not by working out at the gym. It's so natural and so nicely crafted, my muscles. Cougars like myself were exotic around these parts. There were plenty of other felines in town, but none like me. I felt confident in my body. Wish I had someone to share it with. Oh wow, can you share it with me? Since coming here, I hadn't met a man who would take me up on that. Working and looking for work had kept me busy. Now that things are settling down, maybe I should take a gander. There's a brothel in town and I hear they are working men. Part of the reason why I wanted to leave home was because of my sexual inclinations. Many kingdoms had law against betting another man, but not here. Oritin as a country care little about things like that. To these people, profit is paramount. The lot rise and fall based on their ability to stimulate the flow of coin, and brothels ran like rivers. Satisfied with my grooming, I shook off the water from my fur and put my shirt back on, took my bag and headed for the exit. Stepping outside the gate, I saw the notice board where people would occasionally place work offers. Where once I would study obsessively, now I only glance it over out of habits. This way leads straight into the market, which used to be my hunting ground. I arrived in this town 5 months ago. Half of the money I saved up had gone into the trip. The other half I lost foolishly by staying at the inn. Why couldn't someone have told me about the work camp sooner? Although my accent wasn't thick, it was obvious to everyone that I was not from the region. The few businesses that operated here would rather hire locals than someone like me. Still, I could usually find an errand or two, enough to earn my bread. Over time, I had become more familiar with the townspeople and felt like I was starting to be accepted. The services in the market are a fairly tight-knit community. Most of them have tiny stores, selling whatever they grow or make themselves. Ironworks, herbs, fruits and vegetables, things of straw and ham, liquor was very popular. None of these goods came from the ships of this port town. I had hoped I would find work at the bakery, but alas, it was an impenetrable family business just like the one I left behind. The customers around the market were dockers or crew taking leave from the ships moored in port. Scholars, traders, travelling entertainers, adventurers, and the odd noble would occasionally stop by to taste of the local produce. Although there was much traffic at sea, the cargoes coming in and out were destined for other places in and out of the region. It was a hub of traffic, not the biggest town, but it was growing. As I walked further along, I could spot one of the wharf at the dock where a boat was either just mooring or departing. I would often try to enlist with one of the ships. Although these crews had men from all around the world and thus wouldn't care about where your accent placed you, there I had even less of a chance. There were men with sea experience who would stalk the gangways for opportunities, men much more valuable than me in that regard. It was no secret that salty dogs were 10 times more valuable than any lad still wet behind the ears. If I had only come here as a seaman rather than a passenger. That didn't matter anymore, now I have a reliable job. I crossed through the market, saying good morning to the kind people. It was still fairly early, so most hadn't even set up their stores yet. The ironmonger was always the first one to open up. His services were sought after by seamen coming in to ask for repairs or spare parts, partly because he was a carpenter also. He was a hard man and I didn't know him well, but he always nodded hello my way when I would see him at the earliest hour. Others were loading up their crates with produce, most were too busy to even notice my passing. Finally, I came upon the antique shop. I approached the door and glanced through the frosted glass before entering. Stepping inside, my lungs and nose were impressed with an odd, old and pleasant quality to the air. It carried the sensation of history in bottle. It will always hit me when I entered, but fade away as I got accustomed to it. Sometimes there would be burning incense at the entrance to welcome customer, but today lacked any fancy. It meant Alan was expecting a slow day, or he just hadn't gotten around to it yet. Bookshelf, counters, cases, and vitrines, decorated with all sorts of junks and treasures, are arranged along the walls and in counter islands. I walked over to the desk across the room. My ears picked up shuffling sounds beyond it. Leaning over the desk, I spot Alan in the closet office to the side. He's looking through some papers and hasn't noticed me yet. I clear my throat to get his attention. Oh, Harvey. Oh, this is Helen, okay. Oh, another daddy. Good morning, Alan. Good morning. Alan was a very gentle person most of the time. If I had to guess, I would place him around my father's age. He looks a little bit similar to my housemate in different color. His tenor of speech and mannerism tells of a bookish man, yet he carries himself with neighborly quaintness. 1 month ago, he approached me and asked if I wanted to work for him. There was no need to consider the offer. I immediately had accepted. Before then, a couple of people in the market had hired me to deliver some goods across town, and I visited Alan twice. Everything was delivered on time and he always seemed pleased. Was that enough to convince him I'm worth hiring? At the time, I didn't even know what he was about. I had overheard people gossiping about the antique shop and Alan, but I didn't pay much attention. At the time, I assumed it wasn't a place I could find work. When he asked me, I was caught off guard. As it turns out, the job isn't anything special, at least as far as I'm concerned, just some housekeeping, dusting off old things, hauling stuff and helping out any way I can. Simple task and a decent opportunity for me. He says he wants me to do more work though, things that have been more to do with the business. That's why I have been trying to improve my reading and writing. I'm eager to learn more from him and he's willing to teach. Oh, that's nice. It's good that I always look for self-improvement and career advancement. Alan himself is very smart and knowledgeable to understand all of these old things. He deals with the clients, although there aren't many of them. Still don't quite understand why people seek out these kind of antiques. He walked out of the enclosed space with papers in hand and stood by the desk. You came in early. Did you sleep well? Well enough. I've been sleeping better lately. Alan, oh, you had trouble nights before? Sleeping was difficult when I first arrived. Different land, different bed, even the air tastes different. I think I've gotten used to it now. That's good. I've been here for a few years now myself. It was hard on me too. The air here is much heavier and dirtier. Oh, how I miss the mountain breeze up north. The crisp morning chill, the flightless sky and softness of clouds. Every day felt like wonder. Now every day I kick myself for leaving. What about you? Which wind blew you into my shop? I'm not sure. He chuckles slightly. I'm asking where you're from, Harvey. Oh, Adani. He leans back and looks at me with a hint of pleased astonishment. Really, I had met a couple of Adanis before and their accents were much thicker. The place I'm from is closer to the mainland coast and we have a lot of foreigners. I've never really thought about it, but I guess that would make us sound more like mainlanders. You have probably met Adanis from deeper in the country. Their dialects are much more distinct. Did they tell you which region they were from? I don't quite remember. It was a long time ago. You are the first person from Adani I've met in years. Huh? I would have thought there would be many Adanis traveling this way. Perhaps many have, just not into this shop. My concern is usually limited to this humble establishment. I don't often make it my business to check the comings and goings of people around these parts. Back home, I heard a lot of stories about people leaving the country for the mainland, but I haven't met any other Adanis here either. Well, it's not a place I would settle down willingly, but I would love to visit Adani someday. I've heard the countryside is beautiful and I know the wine is exquisite. You like Adani wine? Of course, I have a couple of Sarah's half bottles stored away for special occasion, vintage 88. Alan leaned in and cups a hand beside his mouth, speaking in a playfully covert manner. Between you and me, those 2 bottles are worth more to me than anything else in here. He smiles and chuckles lightly while straightening out his papers. Alright, well, We have a lot of work to do today. I'll need you to stay overnight. How come? Alan's expression turns stoic as he leans back. We are receiving a large shipment later today, coming in by boat. I received a delivery notice shortly before you came in. A shipment from who? The Silverine watch. I sense a foreboding hint in Alan's voice, but also excitement. The shipment is important. The Silverine watch. They are the soldiers of the Inquisition, those who set themselves as defenders of the innocent against Pervaders and their magic. Ooh, okay. Oh, so this story has magic. Under their vigil, no unlawful use of magic would be tolerated. They must be good at their jobs, because I've never seen any magic. I've never known a Pervader either. They were said to be dangerous and in hiding. You would hear tales of glorious battles between watchmen and Pervaders, yet it all felt so foreign to me, like a story from a distant place and time. Oh, I see. So, oh, okay. Now I understand why this visual novel is called Pervaders. Inquisitors would often come and preach in the town square about the evil of Pervaders, of twisted magic that kill and burn innocence. Those discourses always seemed so heated, warning people of awful dangers. Nobody I knew had ever come face to face with anything of the sort. At first it made me fearful, but they would drone on and on for so long and so often that I had begun to turn it up. What is the Silverine watch sending to Alan? Why do they need his help? Alan lowers his head and smiles to himself. He rubs the desk idly and clears his throat. So, how goes your reading and writing? Good, well, better I should say. I asked because I'm going to need your help cataloging the shipment. Oh, don't worry yourself. We'll be working together. All you have to do is write down what I tell you while I go through the items. The notes are for my own archive. It doesn't have to be done perfectly. I'll review everything afterwards. But I appreciate if you were careful. Okay, you can count on me. Alan is staring up at me, studying me. Do you know why I hired you, Harvey? It's because I'm hot? He asked the question softly, but I'm unsure if it was meant as a reminder or as genuine inquiry. Alan has always been reasonable and kind, so I discard any apprehension. You needed someone to help with housekeeping? No. Well, yes, of course, housekeeping is needed too. More importantly, I judge that you have what I need in an assistant. You are diligent, that's what everyone in town say, and it's true as far as I have seen. And while you have been with me, I have also learned that you are cautious and curious. I just clean and move things. Because cleaning and moving need to be done, among other things. A scholar cannot study without first dusting off his tomes. More interesting avenues will soon be open to you if you are ready for them. What do you mean? He looks down and away for a moment, his eyes considering the moment carefully. Then he turns toward me and carries his words with probing eyes. You have been with me for a month now. What do you think? Do you like working here? Oh, just a month. It's been good. I'm very thankful. What about your stipend? I don't pay you as much as a dog worker. Their jobs. They strain themselves more. He gave a conciliatory nod. You are young, you look strong enough. You could have worked at the docks instead, earn better coin. Why didn't you? I couldn't find work with them. About a week after I started working for Alan, there was a call for more dog hands posted at the worker camp notice board. I remember thinking over if I should quit working for him and do that instead. I'll have Jonah there with me too. But Jonah said I shouldn't quit yet. He will probably be mad with me if I did. Was the notice still there? I hadn't paid any attention. If you had the opportunity, would you go work at the docks instead? This is what he was getting at. Is he testing my loyalty, my honesty? Is there some hidden purpose to this? Spurred on by the news of the shipment. Does he want to let me go? No, he said he needs my help with the shipment. Then what do I really want? I guess I just want to find my place in the world. That's why I left home, left mother and father and little brother behind. My big brothers before me had also departed, off to different corners of the country. The moment was crystallized in my mind when I fell into this adventurous mood. It was all because of a water globe. My father told me the story of how one day a man came to our bakery to purchase cake bread while I was away doing chores. The man tasted it and said it was very delicious. He enjoyed it so much that he finished eating it then and there. By the end, he was licking his fingers. Father was praised by the man, who said it was the best cake bread he had ever eaten. He liked it so much that he wanted to do more than pay. To show his appreciation, he gifted Father a water globe. Father gave the thing to me, and I was completely mesmerized by it. Never would I have thought that such baubles could captivate me, but once I held it in my hands, I was in another world. It was so pretty. The encapsulated scene was of a boat near a coast, and on that coast sat a pyramid covered in glittering gold. I would play with it all the time, swaying it and flipping it to make the little flakes inside dance. At night I would place it on the shelf next to my bed. The thing carried me into sleep, and I would drift off wishing I could wake up in the world of that globe. The tiny little thing inspired so much wonder, so many powerful emotions within me. Unfortunately, the globe didn't survive long. My little brother played with it a week after Father gave it to me, slipped and fell, smashing against the ground. It broke into tiny, unsalvageable pieces. Oh, pity me. It was the most upsetting thing that had ever happened to me up until then. Despite that mishap, the inspiration I had gained from it stuck with me and grew stronger. It made me bold. So bold that it spurred me to travel overseas. Of course, when I got here, my dreams were somewhat shattered. Oregon is a grayer place, and people don't seem quite as happy. Reality hit me like a brick. A man has to earn coin to feed himself, and I quickly put away all those adventurous dreams. Despite all that, things aren't going too terribly. Working for Alan seems pretty interesting. There may be a future here. I've certainly seen lots of things around his shop that could be called treasures. Maybe this is the glitter that I was so desperate to find. It would be a disappointment to my younger self, but I'm not so young anymore. Life is never going to be that wondrous. Holding on to a childish dream like that seems foolish and wasteful. My thoughts went to my little brother. Would he have silly dreams like mine? Would he end up far away from home like all of us? My heart pulled back to our home back in Adani. I wanted to see my brother and warn him not to be like me, warn him away from risky decisions like those which had almost trapped me. Then I recalled Father. I felt his presence, like he was watching over me from across the sea. How worried would he be? How worried would mother and little brother be? They must know I'm fine. I want to see them again, but now is not the time. Those childish dreams may never come to fruition, but I've taken on a new dream, that of making something of myself out here. My future is ahead of me. Is it with Alan? Is it at the docks? Is it with one of the ships? The only thing I know for sure is that it's not waiting for me back home. Oh. My senses returned to me and I realized that Alan is staring at me. I must have been lost in thought for a bit too long. Would I work at the docks instead? I still don't have a good answer for him. Sorry, It's alright, I'm sorry if I make you worry. Let me explain. You are a bright young man, and the entire world is open to you. For you, these are the years which will define the rest of your life. I can see in your eyes that you understand. It is good to be concerned for your future. Perhaps you have had it tough lately. Sometimes you have to push through hardships until the good opportunities show up. This job is one of those good opportunities, and I want to convince you of that. Yet at the same time, I'm not sure where your heart is. Here's the deal. I would like you to become my assistant, not just a handyman. That means you have to help me with research. I've urged you to improve your reading and writing because moving forwards you will need to do a lot of studying. Do not worry, there is time. I'm patient and will help you. Studying what? Ancient law. Okay. Have you ever heard of Neanderthals? I shook my head. It's a lost civilization from 1,000 years ago, rooted in the north. In the past few decades, scholars have taken a keen interest in their relics. Many ruins are being discovered and rediscovered due to recent archaeological innovations. These places are rich in old treasures, things that have special, elusive qualities to them. My job is that of the unraveler who studies these objects and brings out their secrets. Okay, but I don't quite understand. Secrets, it sounds very vague. Yes, I'm being very vague, aren't I? Alan sighed and glances away for a moment. Alright, tell me, Harvey, so far, does the job I've described sound appealing to you? Don't know, maybe. Working at a bakery or at the docks is fine to earn coin, but there must be more I can do. Not just manual labor. Yes, you are right, Harvey. You gotta appreciate that he really tries to nurture your other skills as well. This ancient world business sounds interesting, but I don't understand. Alan, is that something you're not telling me? I want to say yes. Alan shifted in his seat uncomfortably. The pause lingers a bit too long, making me unsure if I should say anything. Now, I have one more important thing to tell you. This is why I have been asking you to consider. It's wonderful that I have managed to tempt you. Yet there are implications to this line of work which may not sit well with you. There's more to what I do here and than just putting a price on old thing. What is it? Alan sternly stared at me like I have never seen him do. He leans in to rest his elbows on the desk and stipples his hands. Harvey, I'm a pervader. Wow! Wow, okay. Oh, I'm shocked. My mind went blank for a moment. A pervader, a wielder of magic, those people whom the Inquisition demonized? Am I supposed to have a strong reaction to that, to say I don't believe it or to show fear or excitement? I do believe it and I think I'm afraid and excited and a dozen other things, but all of that cancels itself out and numbs me. His expression is almost flat, yet betrays a thread of anticipation. Why? Why am I a pervader? No, I mean, why are you telling me this? Why now? It's because of the work we will be doing here. Yeah, I wonder why as well. It's just Alan just met Harvey for 1 month, but he already told his true identity to Harvey. It seems very dangerous. You see, this little shop I have here is more than meets the eye. Although most of the items we have in here are just old oddments, a few of them have very special properties. Things infused with magic, enchantment. They are tools, like a hammer or a palm, but powered by magic. Such items can be used to do many things. They are quite useful and prevalent in the north. However, enchantments are banned in the south, throughout the domain. Inquisition laws. So you make enchantments? I can, but that is not what I do here. Have you ever seen an enchantment? No, I've never seen any kind of magic or anything like that. Alan opens up one of the desk drawers and pulls out a shaft of wood about a foot long, narrow as finger at one end. Tapering at the other end, he hands it to me. Hold it up in one hand and flick your thumb across it. Go on, don't be afraid, it's harmless. I do as he says. As I nervously follow his instruction, I see the tip of this thing begin to glow. A bright glare comes into existence. It is like the flame of a torch, but it does not flicker and swear in that manner. No, it's something else entirely, not attached to the instrument at all. A wisp of light levitates gently above the wood. My hand trembles at the strange event I'm witnessing. I pull back the piece of wood and the wisp follows the movement like a relentless kinetic, keeping itself perched above the tip. What you are holding is a wand that has been enchanted with a torch spell. It is one of the most common enchantments, as well as one of the most useful ones. Alan gestured with his hand in a strange fashion. Muttering something under his breath, in an instant another wisp of light materialized, floating above his hand. A Pervader can do this kind of magic innately, but enchanted tools can be used by anyone. That is their value. We both stared at the strange pair of lights and how they danced to the rhythm of our gesture. Excitement courses through me as I play with it. Alan recognizes my enthronement and begins to laugh softly. I reach with my other hand to touch the tiny floating sun. Does it burn? I try to fondle it, but my fingers don't touch anything. The only thing they detect is pleasant warmth. The whip passes through my fingers and palm. A moment of awkwardness is felt as I realize it is shining from within the flesh of my hand. Then I move my hand away to let it escape. Alright, flick your thumb over it again. As I do so, the light vanishes into a trail of orange, glowing mist that floats and fades away. Alan had extinguished his as well. What do you think? I turned the wand over in my hands and studied. Nothing about it would tell you that it contains such a power. If you asked me before, I would have said it's a fancy little stick. Can I keep it? Alan chuckles and wags a finger. Now, these are not toys. Besides, you wouldn't want to be caught waving one of these around. The Inquisition would find you. I give the wand back to him and he puts it back in the drawer. Different wands have different spells, so be careful if you ever handle one of these. Most wands are enchanted to trigger when touched in the manner I explained to you, but some may be designed differently. You don't want to fire off something you don't understand. Why didn't you tell me that you were a Pervader? Alan leans back and stares off to the side. It's a precarious thing. First, I wanted to see if I could trust you and rely on you, and I wanted you to get to know me. Too many people have heard too many terrible stories about Pervaders, and that has made it very difficult. Not to mention that this region is in a grey zone when it comes to magic. Does anyone else know? Nobody in Taos knows. Most of them just think I'm obsessed with trinkets. Which is also true. I don't want anyone to know, so of course I won't say a word. Thank you. Alan sighed. Is all of this alright with you? I wasn't sure what to answer. It has a lot to take in. Origin has given me lots of surprises, and Alan isn't even from the region. It's very exciting, but I'm not sure if it's too much excitement. Will working with a Pervader put me in danger? Will I become suspicious in the eyes of the Inquisition? And then we have a shipment from the Inquisition, which didn't seem right. You have misgivings, but I promise you there's nothing to worry about. Harvey, I want you to keep working here. If you are thinking about leaving, you must let me convince you to stay. Doubtless you have many questions. Please, ask me anything, I'll answer as best I can. Okay guys, I think that's it for today. Okay, we can see there are some options coming through. So this story is kinda nice to play. I like the game developer try to build up my personality, which when I play this character, I feel like it's another me. I really appreciate that. And then the story, I can tell that it has a very detailed plot. It won't be a very fast-paced story which all the characters are introduced in a very fast pace. So guys, if you would like to see the next part of Pervader, please subscribe me. Thank you and bye.